Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah,
So for this deep dive, you wanted to get into e-commerce and digital marketing, right?
that's right.
And you wanted to use Google's digital marketing and e-commerce course as a starting point.
Yes.
So we dove into all those materials, the transcripts, all that good stuff. And I have to say, some of this is pretty fascinating. Like, did you know the very first online sale was in 1994?
No, I didn't.
A CD for $12.48.
Wow.
Yeah, a CD. I know. Feels like ancient history.
It really does. It's incredible how much has changed, in a relatively short amount of time. Now e-commerce is this massive global industry, and digital marketing, well, it's become completely essential for any business.
Right. It really is kind of mind-blowing. But before we get too far into this,
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to define what these things actually are, Like, what is e-commerce, what is digital marketing, and how do they fit together?
Yeah, absolutely. At its core, e-commerce is really straightforward. It's just buying and selling stuff online. Digital marketing is a little more involved, I guess. It's all the strategies and tactics that you use to reach potential customers online, build relationships with them, and ultimately get them to buy something. You can think of it like this. E-commerce is the what, and digital marketing is the how.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So e-commerce is like the actual transaction,
Right.
and digital marketing is everything that leads up to it. But there's so many different types of products and services being sold online, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we even categorize them?
Well, you can break them down into four main types, really. There are physical goods, which are basically tangible products, things you can hold in your hand, like clothing, electronics, books.
Yeah.
Then you've got digital products, which are things like software, online courses, ebooks, music downloads.
Makes sense.
We also have services, things like consulting, online coaching, travel bookings. And then there's software, which can be anything from productivity apps to entertainment platforms.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a pretty helpful way to think about it. I think what's so interesting about e-commerce, though, is that it really levels the playing field for businesses. You don't need a storefront anymore.
Right.
You can launch a business from anywhere.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest advantages of e-commerce, for sure. It's incredibly accessible. You have lower overhead costs, a potentially global reach, and it's way easier to get started than with, traditional retail. But as you can imagine, this ease of entry has also made the market much more competitive.
I can see that.
And that's where digital marketing comes in.
Yeah, I get that.
Mm.
It's not enough to just have a great product.
Right.
You need to be strategic about getting your message out there, connecting with the right people.
Absolutely.
But with all the different channels and platforms, where do you even begin?
Well, the Google course actually goes into this in detail. The key is to understand your target audience and then focus on the channels where they spend their time. Are they on social media? Do they rely on search engines? Do they respond to email?
So it's about being targeted and strategic.
That's right.
Not just blasting your message out to everyone.
Exactly. And one of the most effective ways to do that is through content marketing.
Okay.
And that basically means creating and sharing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and engage your target audience.
That makes sense. But what kind of content are we talking about? Blogs, videos, that sort of thing?
Pretty much. The format depends on your audience and goals. But the Google course mentions a few popular ones.
Okay.
Blog posts are great for in-depth information. Videos are, of course, highly engaging. And then you have infographics, which can help present complex info in a visual way. The key, though, is to create stuff that your audience will find interesting.
Okay, so I'm starting to get the big picture here, but I'm also realizing that this whole world is incredibly vast. There must be so many different jobs and specializations within this field, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if someone's interested in this, what job titles should they even be looking for?
Well, there are a ton of different roles, and they each need their own unique set of skills and expertise. Some people might specialize in just one area, like search engine optimization or social media marketing. Others might be more generalists and manage several different aspects of a company's digital marketing. The specific job titles vary, of course, but some common ones include things like digital marketing manager, content marketing specialist, SEO specialist, social media manager, e-commerce manager.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. But it seems like a lot of those roles require specific technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're not a tech person? Is there still a place for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Actually, some of the most valuable skills in digital marketing aren't technical at all. In fact, some of the most valuable skills in digital marketing aren't technical at all.
Okay, that's reassuring. So So what are these valuable non-technical skills then? What should someone focus on if they want to get into digital marketing but don't have like a coding background or something?
Well, the Google course talks about three key transferable skills: curiosity, an analytical mindset, and good communication skills.
Okay, so those would be valuable in any field.
Right.
But how do they specifically apply to digital marketing?
Well, let's start with curiosity. This is a field that's always evolving, right? New platforms pop up, algorithms change, consumer behavior shifts. You need to be curious enough to stay ahead of the curve. You have to be eager to learn new things, experiment with different approaches, constantly seek out new information.
So it's not enough to just like learn the basics and then coast.
Nope.
You really need to keep learning and growing.
Yeah, definitely. And the Google course emphasizes this a lot. They talk about the importance of continuous learning and professional development. They even suggest specific resources and tools that can help you stay up to date.
That's great. So curiosity is key. What about this analytical mindset, though? Does that mean you need to be like a math whiz to succeed in digital marketing?
Not necessarily. While data analysis is definitely part of it, an analytical mindset is really more about being able to think critically, solve problems, identify patterns. You need to be able to look at data and understanding what it means, and then use that to inform your strategies.
It's like connecting the dots.
Exactly. And then there's communication skills. You're constantly communicating in digital marketing, whether it's through written content, social media, emails, or video scripts. You need to write clearly, persuasively, tailor your message to your audience, and tell compelling stories that people connect with.
I can see how storytelling would be important. It's not just about presenting information. It's about making an emotional connection.
Yeah, for sure. And that ties into understanding your target audience. You need to know who they are, what their needs are, what kind of language and imagery they respond to. The Google course uses several case studies to show how brands have done this well. They show how storytelling has helped them build strong connections with their audiences.
So it's fascinating how all these pieces work together. But let's say someone has all these skills. They're curious, they're analytical, and they're great communicators. How do they actually find a job in digital marketing? What are the different paths they could take?
One of the first decisions you have to make is whether you want to work in-house for a company or for an agency. The Google course talks about both of these options in detail.
Okay, I'm curious about that. I mean, I work in-house here at Google, so I know a little bit about that.
Sure.
But the agency world is, well, it's a bit of a mystery to me. What are the key differences between working in-house versus at an agency?
Well, with an in-house role, you're usually focused on marketing one brand or product line. You get to know the target audience really well, the brand voice, and the company's goals. It can be a great way to gain deep expertise in a particular industry. And you get to see how your work directly impacts the business.
Right. And one of the things I like about working in-house is that sense of ownership.
Yeah.
You get to really dive deep into one brand.
And agencies offer a different experience. You get to work on a variety of projects for different clients, which can be exciting. You're exposed to different industries, marketing strategies, target audiences, which can make you a more well-rounded marketer.
It sounds like agency life is a lot more fast-paced.
It can be.
Are there any downsides to working in either environment?
Well, in-house, you might end up working on similar projects over time,
Okay.
which could get repetitive if you like a lot of variety. And in an agency, the workload can be demanding. You might have to juggle a lot of clients and projects at once.
So it's like a trade-off, then, between depth and breadth of experience. I imagine work-life balance varies depending on the company or agency, right?
Definitely. The Google course actually encourages people to research different companies and agencies to find a good fit for them.
That makes sense. And it's great that the Google course covers these career considerations, not just the technical stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, the e-commerce and digital marketing landscape is always evolving. There are always new trends and technologies popping up
Right.
that are changing how businesses reach their customers. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's important to keep up with what's new in this field. Where should we start?
Well, one trend that's really taking off is mobile commerce, or May-commerce.
Okay.
As smartphones become even more popular and sophisticated, more and more people are using them to shop online.
Which makes sense. I do most of my online shopping on my phone. It's just so convenient.
Exactly. And the Google course gives some great examples of how companies are adapting to this. They're optimizing their websites and apps for mobile devices. They're using location-based targeting to reach people who are nearby. They're even incorporating mobile payment options for a smoother checkout process.
So it's all about making the shopping experience as seamless as possible on mobile.
Right. And this actually ties into another big trend, which is personalization.
Yes. Personalization.
Mm.
Seems like every website I go to these days is trying to tailor things to me.
And there's a reason for that. Consumers are overwhelmed with information these days.
Yeah.
They want brands to understand their needs and offer them personalized experiences. The Google course materials have a whole section on data-driven marketing,
Right.
which is basically about using data to understand your customers and deliver personalized experiences to them.
That's so interesting. It's like those recommendations you get on, streaming services.
Right.
They're surprisingly accurate sometimes. But how do companies actually do this? How do they gather and use this data?
Well, they can collect data from all sorts of places. Websites, purchase history, social media, even customer surveys.
Okay.
Then they use algorithms and machine learning to analyze it and identify patterns.
It sounds like it's a fine line between personalization and privacy, though.
It definitely is. And the ethical considerations are really important here. Consumers are becoming more and more aware of how their data is being used, and they want more transparency and control.
It's definitely a complex issue. But let's move on to another emerging trend. Social commerce. I've heard that term, but I'm not totally sure what it means.
So social commerce is basically the integration of e-commerce into social media.
Okay.
So you can browse and purchase products directly within apps like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, even TikTok.
Wow, so you don't even have to leave the app.
Nope. And the Google course has some really interesting insights into how this is changing e-commerce. For example, they talk about how shoppable posts and live stream shopping are becoming more popular.
I can see how that would be a big deal. Right. It's like having a storefront right on your social media feed.
Hmm.
But what about sustainability? How are companies thinking about the environmental impact of all this?
That's a great question, and it's something that the Google course touches on as well. Sustainability is becoming a major focus for e-commerce businesses. As consumers become more aware of the environmental and social impact of their purchases, companies are looking at eco-friendly packaging, efficient shipping, and partnerships with organizations that support sustainable initiatives.
It's good to know that sustainability is becoming more of a priority.
Definitely. And it's not just about doing the right thing, it's also good for business. Consumers are more likely to support brands that align with their values.
So it's a win-win. Sustainability is good for the planet and the bottom line.
Exactly.
I love that. We've covered so much ground today, from the basics of e-commerce and digital marketing to these emerging trends that are changing everything.
It's been a good overview.
It really has. But before we wrap up, I want to hear your thoughts on what makes someone truly successful in e-commerce and digital marketing. What sets the exceptional people apart?
That's a great question. I think success in this field comes down to a few things. First, a deep understanding of human psychology.
Okay.
Yes, technology is important, but ultimately it's about understanding how people think, what motivates them, how to connect with them on an emotional level.
So it's about more than just data and algorithms.
Absolutely. And that's where creativity comes in. You need to be able to think outside the box, come up with new ideas, tell compelling stories.
That makes sense. And I bet adaptability is crucial too.
For sure. Things change so quickly in this field. You need to be able to embrace new technologies and be willing to learn new things. And lastly, I would say that a genuine passion for this work makes a big difference. The people who are most successful are the ones who truly love what they do.
I love that. So it's about human understanding, creativity, adaptability, and passion.
Exactly. And those are qualities that anyone can develop if they have the right mindset.
This has been such a great conversation. I'm feeling really inspired right now. And I bet our listeners are wondering, okay, what resources are out there to help me,
Oh, there are tons.
gain the knowledge, get the skills they need to actually dive into this world.
Yeah, for sure. And one we've already mentioned, which I can't recommend enough, is the Google Digital Marketing and E-commerce Certificate.
Right. The one that's given us all this information. And just to be clear, We're not getting paid to say this. It's a genuinely great program.
Absolutely. It's super comprehensive, it's self-paced, and it covers everything. From the basics to more advanced stuff like SEO, social media marketing, data analytics. It even gets into those career paths we were talking about.
And it's accessible, even if you don't have any prior experience.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just dry textbook stuff. They use videos, interactive exercises, real-world case studies. You even get a certificate from Google when you finish.
Wow, that's a pretty valuable thing to have on your resume. I bet that opens some doors. Are there any other online resources you recommend?
Oh, yeah. Websites like HubSpot, Moz, Neil Patel's blog. They've got tons of articles, guides, even free courses.
It's amazing how much free information is out there these days.
It really is. And if you're looking for more structured learning, there are platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Skillshare.
Okay.
Those offer paid courses, boot camps. But free or paid, the important thing is to find something that fits your learning style.
And don't forget about community. We talked about this before, but connecting with other people in the field can be so helpful.
Oh, for sure. Join online forums, go to industry events, follow people on social media. Just immerse yourself in the world.
Right, and you can get insights from others, find mentors, even discover job opportunities.
Exactly. And as you're learning, don't be afraid to put that knowledge into practice.
Yeah.
Start a blog, build a social media presence, volunteer to help a local business. The more you do, the more confident you'll become.
Love that. It's all about building that portfolio, showing potential employers what you can do.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey. There's always something new to learn in this field.
So stay curious, stay adaptable, and never lose that passion.
Well said.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive, and I got to say, this has been pretty inspiring. What started with someone wanting to learn about e-commerce and digital marketing turned into this whole exploration of a field that's changing, well, everything.
It has. And it all started with curiosity.
Right. That little spark of interest can lead to amazing things. Who knows, maybe someday we'll have you back on the deep dive to share your own success story.
I'd love that.
A huge thank you to our expert for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And to you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you the tools and inspiration to take that next step.
Keep learning, keep experimenting, and never stop exploring.
We'll see you next time on the Deep Dive.